Hello everyone, and welcome to this series of videos on some of the most virtuoso piano works published by Henle Verlag. Today we will talk about a composer that I played a lot and on which I also wrote a book, Valentin Alkan. Alkan was one of the most extraordinary piano virtuoso of his time. He composed some of the most original and sometimes cryptic music ever. He worked for almost all of his life in solitude, without any regard to the taste of the public. During his lifetime, he was highly praised by composers like Liszt, Chopin, Berlioz, Mendelssohn, but also by artists like Dumas, Delacroix, Victor Hugo. After his death, Busoni played for the first time many of his piano works, as well as his pupil, Egon Petri. Then composers like Sorabji and Roland Stevenson wrote about his music. But the Alkan Renaissance began anyway in the 70s with Ronald Smith, and today we have many great advocates of his music, like Jack Gibbons, Marc-André Hamelin, Mark Weiner. I have to say that it's a pride for me to have contributed to the first modern urtext edition of our time of the work by Alkan we are going to talk about. And I praise Henle Verlag very much for publishing this important work in this amazing edition and format. So now, let's have a look at Le Festin des Op, one of the most popular work by Alkan. It is a theme with variations that conclude the massive collection of the 12 Etudes, Opus 39, in all the minor keys, a work that lasts more than 2 hours in total. In this piece, Alkan displays the widest range of the piano technique. But besides a lot of fast passages, his favorite here is the chord and octave technique, a must, let's say, in the romantic piano repertoire. But the way Alkan deals with these elements is always personal and sometimes brutal. First of all, let's point out that the main theme at the very beginning has to be played really still, strictly in time. This is the meaning of senza licenza. This is one of the marks of Alkan's style, that is very severe and serious, and sometimes for this reason it becomes ironic. Now let's jump to variation 7. Here, with the good fingerings indicated by Alkan, it's possible to play very fast the demi-semiquaver, turning around the thumb. But of course, a good fingering is not enough because you also need to think about the use of the articulation. When you play fast passages like that, you don't need to use a very high articulation, of course, but you should transfer the weight from a finger to another using a very tiny articulation. And not like that. Then, of course, it turns into a most difficult passage at bar 61 and 62, in which you should open very fast your hands in order to pass from the single line to the chords. In doing this, the right hand is almost in position, so you just need to open the thumb and the fifth finger, preparing the following chords. And then open. You are almost still in position to open to play the chords. You don't need to use a high articulation in your left hand too, because here I suggest to give a little accent on the first note of the group, and then play the other one very relaxed and light without articulation. And even in this case, not like, don't try to articulate too much. To play the chords after the single line, of course you need to have a short break because it's impossible to play. Don't go in a rush because it's useless. Then in variation 14, the staccato, both single notes or chords, should be played without jumping too much because, of course, this would slow down the tempo. Without making this. And the legato notes as well should be played without too much articulation. Very close to the keys. So use your arms to give the impulse and holding your hand as still as possible. In the next one, be sure to memorize all the different jumps in the two hands. In the left hand, you have a fixed point from which to jump, that is the octave E. And in the right hand, you have arpeggios in, for instance, in this case, E minor. You could practice them even separately if you like. And when you play the whole variation together, remember that you don't have to push on every single note because this will tire you out. There are always chords and octaves with a natural accent on the downbeats, where you have to push a bit more, and then other one in which you have the upbeat, so there's no need to stress your arms so much. So here you have the downbeat and the upbeat. So you can relax, push here, and relax here, and push again, relax, push and relax. And don't play this part like being stiff all the time, of course. Well, I think this advice is something to keep in mind in general in music like this. You always need to find passages in which you have to relax your hands and your arms. This is not just for your body, because the music itself, even in the most virtuoso pieces, if they are not exercises but works of art, is something that need to breathe, because this is human. Let's talk about variations 17 and 18 now. They are indeed very fast, but here Alkan uses a formula that is quite comfortable for the hand. You have a number of passing notes turning around the E minor chords, and using the fingerings Alkan suggests, it will be easy to understand it. You're turning around this harmony. Then, to play them faster, you should apply, first of all, the advice Alkan wrote in the score, that is leggermente, lightly. If you like, you can practice the passage at the very beginning, slow and forte, just to make clear to yourself the movement of the thumb and the mechanism. But as soon as you can, try to lift up your hand, staying very light, and don't use this kind of high articulation, because the thumb will be like that, and it makes an accent that we don't want at the end. So not like this, with this kind of accent. If you lift up the hand, the thumb will make this kind of articulation and not this kind. And this will make the passage very soft and very homogeneous. In the final variation, there is a massive use of chords. So this would be very useful to reinforce your hands, especially your metacarpus, that is a crucial support in the pianist's hand. It's really important for a pianist to have a solid hand and strong fingers, because if you have them, you don't need to apply too much nervous and muscular force. And most of the time, you can avoid also a tiring and annoying articulation. You can use gravity to obtain a rich sound if your fingers can sustain the weight of your arms. And it's your metacarpus with the knuckles well out, the place of the hand, that make this possible. The chord technique is one of the best way to reinforce this part of the hand. And Alkan uses them very often in his pieces, maybe more than any other composers. Now let's go in bar 237, where we find one of the most difficult passages of the piece, with these full chords played very fast and arpeggiato for 7 bars. Most of them turn around a single perfect harmony. Useless to say that these are not lyrical arpeggios, so they are very fast, almost the chord played simultaneously. In fact, I suggest to practice the chords first without any arpeggiato. Then start to make the arpeggio very fast, making this kind of movement, this. Even simultaneously, transmitting the weight from the thumb to the 5th finger, and not arpeggiato like that. Then you need to change the position of your hands, and this is very important when you are up and between a chord and another, because you don't have time to make an horizontal movement to prepare the arpeggios. So you cannot make this preparing because you don't have time. So change position, change position, change position when you are up. At the beginning, this could be even painful for your fingertips, but in this way your hands will get a lot stronger, and a strong hand can control the most beautiful pianissimo and the most beautiful singing cantabile. The old masters used to say that a good pianist should have iron fingers in velvet gloves. So don't give up, and by climbing all these peaks one by one, you will reach the summit. Then you will see how powerful, deeply geometrical and also fun Alkan music it is to play. Well, thanks for watching. I hope this video was useful for you, and stay tuned on Henle social media channels.